obviously it's a links golf course, and I've not really played much links golf before. This was a great little tester. The earliest time that Leslie as a member was able to get was about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. You're basically firing to a green right in front of the castle. Alright, so I want to go back a few weeks on this, because the golf trip to Scotland that has kind of been building up to in the very few episodes that I've put out has taken place, and I guess it's time to find out whether the road hole got played and how I did. And look, let me say straight away that when I was building up to Scotland, my main aim was to get rid of the shanks that I was having, particularly with my wedges. I was trying to get more control out of my irons, and everything was just trending upwards and upwards, and it was horrible scores. We were back in the high 90s to the 100s, which for somebody that earlier this year broke 79, because golf is all about perspective, of course. Sorry, broke 80 earlier this year and hit 79 around my home course. To suddenly be back up in the triple figures is slightly frustrating, to say the least. I had a lesson just before going away with Kev at Leighton Buzzard, who was actually a really good teacher. Really enjoyed the session with him. We went in the simulator and we had a little session with the irons. Very ego boosting going and getting a lesson, particularly on a simulator, because you go to a driving range and everything's playing shorter because you're using range balls. They've been hit thousands and thousands of times. They're designed not to go as far anyway, so it prevents people from being able to launch them out of the driving range, etc. So it was very much okay, this is what I expect from a lesson that I have normally on the driving range with Alistair. And then we get on the simulator, and I swear to God, every golf simulator just amps up your yardages and then some, because Kev asked me, what do you hit in terms of your 7-iron? I said, I don't know, my 7-iron feels like it's about my 160, 165 club, something like that. As all kind of mid to high handicappers, my yardages can vary quite dramatically. I'm not exactly dialed in at all with how I'm hitting everything. And Kev says, all right, well, look, hit a couple. We'll see what we get in terms of numbers on the simulator. And at that point, I was hitting this massive hooky draw that compressed really nicely, but also just went way too far left. But the numbers that came off the screen when I hit the 7-iron with Kev that day, like, it was giving me like 172, 175 carry with 178, 179 yards. And he was saying, oh, you're lying about your yardages. And I was very close to saying, I think your simulator's lying about how hard I can hit, to be honest, because I don't think I've hit 179 with a 7-iron without, 40-foot downhill shot in my life. So this is very unusual to me. So we did some work on that, basically, to try and prevent this draw. With my right arm on my takeaway, I've been getting 2 over, and that was encouraging me to close the face as I came through, so everything's coming off left and you're coming right round it, almost like a driver strike. And that was what was causing it. So we're trying this move to get into the right position, maybe slightly steeper, but keeping the right arm low, that elbow low down on the takeaway. And as you come through, it encourages a straight or slight fade, a short fade. So if you come up short right, that's better than being hugely long and massively left with a draw. So your miss is slightly better than it would be with the draw. So we went over all of that, and that was good fun. Did like 40 minutes on the simulator, as I say, in that lesson. And pretty much after that, it was time to start moving. And this is all about a course that used to be a bit of a hidden gem and is now considered one of the great cheap courses to play in the United Kingdom. And that is Dunstanburgh Castle, which I have to say lived up to the reputation immensely. It's about 5 hours drive, 5.5 hours drive from me. So I drove up pretty early at 7 a.m., where it did just a straight run all the way up to Northumberland. We're kind of north of Newcastle at this point to get up to Dunstanburgh Castle. It's just south of Bamburgh Castle, which is another lovely course in the area that I've had the joy of playing over the last couple of years with a friend of mine. And I was quite excited because I'd been recommended this course by my girlfriend's mum's partner, Howard. He'd said, if you're going to play somewhere, check out that. It's meant to be absolutely lovely, and it's a good way to break up the journey up to Scotland. So that's exactly what I did, and I'd had this round booked since, I don't know, I think I booked this round of golf in months in advance, which I found out members can't do, but visitors can at Dunstanburgh Castle, and we'll come on to that in a bit. But I had this round booked for months, and then bloody Rick Shields goes out and does a break 75 at Dunstanburgh Castle, recommending it as one of the best courses to play and one of the best value for money courses in the country. Which means I was a bit worried that it was going to be absolutely jam-packed when I got there, because Rick Shields has like 4 million followers on YouTube and makes very good-looking content, and he had a really good video. I watched the video of Dunstanburgh Castle, which I wish I hadn't done because I kind of saw a few things that I'd have liked to have seen for the first time in the flesh, as opposed to kind of already knowing about it. But it was a worry that there was going to be suddenly jam-packed tee times all over the place. So I got up there about 12:30 in the end, a lot earlier than I thought I was going to be. I'd booked a tee time for about 3-4 o'clock, just in case there'd been any traffic problems or if I hadn't been able to get away too early. So I get there and I go in the clubhouse. It's a really cute, small, little clubhouse. There's not much to it. It's just a big bar, restaurant area, and then there's a small golfers bar just on the side as well for people that have actually been playing golf. I think they can go in there with their spikes on and stuff like that. Went up to the counter and said, look, I'm really early. Is there any way I can move my tee time up and pay a bit extra? Because I paid about £22 for an evening tee time, and it was only a few quid more, I think it was, to kind of shift it on and move it up. And the woman said, well, look, I can get you out at about 1:30 and don't worry about the cost, which blew my mind a little bit because that's only happened to me at my old golf club, Three Locks, in the past, where they don't tend to do a discounted rate officially, but when I've brought guests up, they've either given me money off or given them money off when they've been playing with me, or they've given them money off when it's been reduced down to kind of 12 holes or something like that, if there's been some flooding or a bit of water. But most of the time, most of the golf clubs I play are very strict and litigious about getting that extra bit of money out of you, whether it's in the bar, whether it's in the club shop, whether it's, green fees or whatever. So I was a little surprised, very grateful. This very nice girl said, just don't worry about the fee. I can't be asked to deal with the admin of putting in like an extra £5 through the machine and stuff. It's fine. Just go out and enjoy yourself. But it still meant I had about 50 minutes or so to kill up at Dunstanburgh Castle, which is no real problem. It's a lovely outside seating area. There was a bit of wind and it was a bit grey when I first got there. And I'm delighted to say it really brightened up later on. But I was a bit stuck with anything to do. So I went down to the putting green and I thought, you know what, I don't really want to play on my own. It's one thing I've really started to enjoy is playing with other people, whether it's strangers or with friends. Obviously, playing with friends is great. But I do enjoy even playing with randomers in the competitions at my golf club. I mean, I really enjoyed playing with strangers in Dubai and Abu Dhabi last year when I got the chance to go out there and play. And actually playing with strangers was the whole reason this Scotland trip was taking place, because I was out at Yas Links last November and I was playing with two German golfers who decided to give up after 9 holes and call it a day. So I was on my own and I got to the 11th tee box and the group in front of me was a 3-ball and they very kindly said, look, do you want to come and play with us? And I said, yeah, that would be great. And that ended up being the man who is now the captain of Royal Dornoch Golf Club and his wife and their son, and we had a great time playing golf, and they very kindly invited me up to play at Royal Dornoch. And that's the whole reason this trip to Scotland took place, because they said, do you want to come and play up there? And I figured if I'm going to play Royal Dornoch, I might as well go and play a few other places in Scotland as well. But I really want to go and do that trip. So playing with other people and playing with strangers is a great way to just have, like, it sounds stupid, but, you know, make new friends, which is such a weird thing to say. That seems like something you'd say to a primary school kid or a young kid going to secondary school. Oh, look, you're going to make new friends. Go out and play golf. You'll make some new friends. But it does. That's one of the great things about this sport is, you know, the chaps that I played up with up in St Andrews later on this trip, you know, it's people I've known only for a handful of months or so, but I met them at random tee times on golf courses, at Leighton Buzzard Golf Club. And we've ended up like starting a little WhatsApp group that's been added to, especially while I was in Argentina. There was initially about 4 of us, and now we've got a 10-person strong WhatsApp group of the under 65s, as we call ourselves at Leighton Buzzard. And it's all trying to get out on weekdays and stuff and play golf together, and hopefully we're going to put some golf trips together as well with those boys and have that taking place. So it is a great way to meet new people, open up opportunities. I mean, a friend of mine who I've met playing golf, he works on boilers and has done some work on my boiler for me. Not at mates rates or anything like that, but it's just good to like meet people that, you know, you can exchange goods and services. You know, it's difficult to freaking get a boiler guy to come out. It's difficult to get a plasterer to come out. We're trying to put something together, a list of like the tradesmen at Leighton Buzzard, to make it easier for members to have access to maybe get some work done or anything like that. In the same way, if anybody needed any commentary or voiceover work or anything like that, I'd be more than willing to kind of say, yeah, look, if you're a member at the golf club in particular, like, let's have a chat, let's sort it out, see what we can do. So that's the best thing about golf to me, is getting to meet some new people and play with randomers. So this brings me back to Dunstanburgh Castle and the putting green there. So I'm on the putting green, and there's a few groups that are going out before me. And they're all down there having a putt as well. The putting green is right next to the first tee. And you kind of like, every so often, make a bit of a chat. Like somebody holds in a chip, or you hold in a chip, and they'll say, oh, save that for the course, and you have a bit of back and forth or whatever. And there are a few 3-balls of like younger guys, probably my age, maybe slightly younger, like mid to high 20s, shall we say. And I kind of said, oh, look, if you're a 3-ball, I don't suppose you mind making it a 4. I've got no one to play with. I'm just up here on a trip, meeting up with some friends in Scotland tomorrow, just doing this to break up the journey. It'd be quite useful. And I wouldn't really mind if they said no. That's not a problem. If they just said, look, it's just the 3 of us, we'd like to just play around as a threesome without anybody else, I'd totally understand it. But I got this kind of wishy, oh, we don't really know what we're doing yet. And it's like, dude, just say no. Like, it's all right. Just say no. But I don't know what we're doing yet is a bit of a, I'm trying not to be rude. And maybe that's what they thought. They thought I'd be offended if they just kind of outwardly said no. But yeah, it was a bit sad, because I've not really had that happen too often, where people have been unwelcoming to an extra person joining in to create a 4-ball or something like that. And again, it just, for me, highlights how good somewhere like Leighton Buzzard is, in that Leighton Buzzard Golf Club has been very accepting in that sense of anybody that wants to jump on a tee time with other people. Everybody just goes, yeah, sure, come on, let's go and play a round of golf. Golf is golf at the end of the day. And if you've got 4 people, you can do a 2v2 match play or something like that. So these younger groups go out, and, you know, I felt a bit, not gonna lie, I felt a bit foolish and stupid, because I was just kind of there. Oh, can I play golf with you? Not really. Oh, okay, cool, yeah. And I wasn't really looking forward to going out and playing on my own. And there were these 2, like, older geezers, senior blokes, who, they were there. One of them had their dog with them attached to their cart, and I got chatting with them a bit, and I said to them, like, look, because age is but a number. I'll hang out with anybody. You know, you can be 78, you can be 24. I can do that. I can mix in with the people. And I get chatting with them on the putting green and say, look, again, I don't know the course, playing on my own, be all right to maybe play a bit of golf with you guys. And one of them says, look, we're only doing 6 holes, but you're welcome to come out and do the 6 holes with us and the dog, taking the dog for the walk. So I was like, yeah, awesome, let's do it. So get onto the first tee. And Dunstanburgh Castle is a beautiful links course. So you've got the first tee. If you're facing the sea from the clubhouse, you're playing left round the bay, and it's on the inside of the bay. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out to the end, and then it comes back 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, runs down behind these huge sand dunes that kind of separate the golf course and the sea, and sometimes provide a bit of shelter, and go out towards the castle at the far end to the right-hand side if you're looking from the clubhouse straight towards the sea, and then it comes back in again. So the clubhouse is kind of in the middle of the golf course, if you will, because you play out to the left, start coming back, go all the way back out to the other side of the bay, and then come back again to the clubhouse. And it is beautiful. It really is beautiful. The sand dunes provide a little bit of shelter, but also they pose their own threat of being these giant sand dunes that you don't want to get your ball anywhere near at all. And then after hole 3, 4, and 5, you're up on the top for those 3, slightly elevated above the rest of the golf course, and you can just look out at the whole of the curve of the bay bending back towards Dunstanburgh Castle. It's awesome, and for £22, it is an absolute bargain, to say the least. There's a few pictures on my Instagram. It's stunning, really nice. But obviously it's a links golf course, and I've not really played much links golf before. This was a great little tester to see how I do on the harder surface, dealing with the elements as well. I mean, the wind, you're exposed in a lot of places. The dunes provide some cover, but in a lot of places you're very exposed to the wind. And the wind direction does change, obviously left to right or right to left if it's coming off the sea. But because of the bend of the coastline, and you don't really notice it when you're playing the holes, because most of the holes feel fairly straight, but actually that direction really changes as you're going around the bend as well. And so we played the first 4, 5 holes. I'm having a good chat with this. One of the chaps is a guy called Leslie, and he's the one with the dog, Archie, who's a very sweet little spaniel, fairly young, and he gets let off, and he's been taught, this dog, he's been taught to stay behind people's golf balls. So he doesn't go running off chasing them. When people are on the tee or getting their shot ready, he stands back behind the golf ball, so he's not in the way of anybody or anything like that, which I'm only just getting used to having a dog and looking after a dog. And that's one of the most impressive things I've seen from dog ownership. That idea of the dog can understand, stay away from the ball, don't bark when people are on their backswing, and just be cool. Just be a little cool, Archie. Don't worry about it. And he's very well behaved. Every so often he'd scamper off into the bushes and then eventually have to be called back. But overall, very fun. So we've played the 6 holes, and the other chap is like, okay, I'm going to shoot off. I want to get back to watch the football because it's the England game that evening. And Leslie's like, I'll do a few more holes with you if you want, Ollie. I was like, oh, nice one, mate. Thank you. And Leslie's was a really nice former lawyer, now retired, and yeah, we're having a good kind of chat, and he was helping guide me through the course and everything. And my round wasn't disastrous. It just wasn't great at that point. And it was, what were we looking through? The first 6 holes to 4 over through the first 6 holes. So I was very much enjoying it. And ended up playing the full 18, basically, with Leslie. And he was super kind in that he took some pictures on some of the more scenic tee boxes of me and my swing, which was great. The par 3, the 13th, is an absolute beauty of a hole because that's the one closest to the castle. You're basically firing to a green over this gap in the coastline where it's all completely rough, and you're firing to this green right in front of the castle. So you've got the castle ruins dead straight in front of, behind the green, and it's just a 90-yard dink. Not even that, really, off the yellow tees that we were playing off. It was by that time the sun had come out. It's such a good feature hole, and again, Leslie was kind enough to take a few pictures of me as I was making my shot, which I'm very happy to say went on the green. Not too happy to say I ended up 3-putting, unfortunately, which is the cardinal sin. And slightly scuppered the round with a few of those final holes and a couple of lost balls. I actually lost a ball off the first as well, which was pretty bloody annoying. I finished up with a 90 and went into the clubhouse afterwards and sat down, had a beer with Leslie watching the England game, and then that was just such a pleasant afternoon. Really pleasant. And again, it just showed what golf is, of you can meet up with random people, spend an afternoon with a stranger that you don't know, but if you both enjoy your golf, you both appreciate the scenery and the setting that you're in, and you're both just pleasant people to spend a bit of time with, and you can have a beer afterwards. It was awesome. It was a great start to the trip. And then I had a place booked just over the border in Scotland for that evening, about an hour and a half away from Dunstanburgh Castle. And nipped off to there in the middle of absolute nowhere, and recorded a podcast with a colleague of mine about the England game and a few other bits of assorted sports news, and got very, very excited indeed, because I was only about an hour and a half away from St Andrews and the drive the next day. And I knew that morning, John and Ryland were setting off at about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning to get themselves up to St Andrews for that afternoon as well. And we knew that although we weren't going to be playing the old course, we knew we'd be playing on some of the best links courses on the planet at one of the most historic places to go and play golf. And Dunstanburgh set it up really nicely. It was cheap, it was extremely pretty, it was hospitable, and everybody I met involved with the club and who were members of the club were so nice and welcoming and made you feel at home. And this brings me on to the last bit that I want to mention of golf clubs like Dunstanburgh. They're great as a hidden gem, and obviously as things like social media and stuff come out, they get found by more and more people, and they get the opportunity to go and play them, particularly when it's as inexpensive as Dunstanburgh is. But there is a trouble with that, and this is something that Leslie was telling me, that the members at Dunstanburgh can't book a tee time more than a week in advance. Whereas I, as a non-member, as a visitor, was able to book well in advance. And actually, you can book 12 months, I think it is, in advance if you're not a member of the golf club. So what that means is on a Saturday, bearing in mind I was playing on a Saturday afternoon, the earliest time that Leslie as a member was able to get a tee time was about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I ended up going half an hour before the 1:30 time that I'd been allocated because I played with Leslie and his mate and little Archie. And that doesn't really seem right to me, that a visitor, particularly on a Saturday, can hog up the morning tee times at the expense of the members who pay the few £100 that it is a year to be a member of that course and have everything that comes with it. And there's extremes the other way. There's a golf club near me, Dunstable Downs, that doesn't allow members to bring guests on a Saturday, which feels the exact opposite of what Dunstanburgh is. It's going too far the other way, because a friend of mine's a member up there. We can't play on a Saturday at his golf club, which seems pretty ludicrous to me, to be honest. So that's kind of going in the wrong direction, of you're restricting yourself as a golf course in terms of the green fees, the additional green fees that you can collect, because there'd be a lot of people that would be happy with, say, all right, Saturday morning is members only. Maybe you make Saturday afternoon and evening, you can bring a guest, and then you have Sunday visitors can come without a guest as well. But to not have members be able to book on a Saturday morning, which is like your prime time for members to try and get around in, particularly when you get into the latter part of summer, the days are getting shorter, although they're obviously a bit longer up in Northumberland and up in Scotland. It just doesn't, it doesn't sit right with me. And hopefully that gets amended at some point, because while it's great to bring in visitors and get the extra cash from those green fees, you don't want to neglect the people that make the club what it is. And that's the members. And they're the people that your bar staff's constantly interacting. They're the people who are trying to make the golf club and keep the golf club going during those winter months, etc., when maybe it's shut for a long period of time. It's those memberships that keep it running. Or maybe it's not. Maybe it is the visitors' green fees that make more of an impact at somewhere like Dunstanburgh, and that's the new kind of golfing world that they're going to have to live in as its popularity grows. But it is a fantastic course. I would definitely recommend going up and playing there. If you can get a relatively calm day with just a bit of breeze, it's absolutely fantastic, particularly when the sun comes out. And if you're making a trip up to Scotland, it's a really good place to kind of break it up. And it has made me think about maybe trying to organise a trip to do Gossick, Dunstanburgh and Bamburgh as a kind of golf weekend, 2 days, 3 rounds. Because those 3 courses, I know Gossick's a bit more expensive, but Bamburgh and Dunstanburgh are both awesome and value for money every day of the week.